Roy, in trying to understand the essence of free will, what's the relationship with decision making? It would seem on the surface that they're almost the same thing, or one is part of the other, or free will enables you to do it. But how do we begin to see the nexus between decision making and free will?
I would think of free will as one kind of decision making. And again, the term free will means different things to different people. I'm thinking of it as this advanced human style of being able to channel the body's energy into doing things in a evolutionarily new way and perhaps a better and more adaptive way. When people are faced with a decision, they can make it impulsively, they can make it almost unconsciously, they can make it automatically, or they can really think it through. The latter, thinking it through, considering the options, and picking the best one. That's what we would consider free will. That way, you're aware of the alternatives. You're more able to make the choice that's best for you. So, assuming evolution produced free will, it has to be useful and produce some benefit. So we can make better decisions. For example, most animals just live in the here and now. Presented with a choice, they do what looks better or what feels better, what's being reinforced in the past. They can't really think, well, if I do this, then this will happen, and then I'll do that, and then this will happen, and then I'll do this and that. But we can do that. And so we can simulate courses of action and say, well, if I do this, then it'll lead to a bad result, and so, no, I don't want that. So how about if I do this? And these mental simulations, which I think are crucial to any idea of free will, enable you to appreciate the possibilities, the alternatives, the options, and what their likely outcomes are, and to pick the one that will lead to the best outcome. Another important thing in terms of free will, many choices are short-term gain versus something else that's a long-term gain. The long-term gain accompanied with a short-term cost. Animals will almost always go for what's the short-term gain. They can't really appreciate the long-term one unless they're hardwired to go for the long-term one. But with humans, that's an issue for free will. Do you want to take what feels good right now, or do what might produce the better results in the long run? Going to college, for example, there's several years of making not much money and so forth. You could certainly make more money if you got a job, but if you go to college, you'll make a lot more money and have a better life in the long run. By virtue of what I think of as free will, we're able to appreciate that difference, to select something which may be less attractive in the short run, but will produce the best results in the long run, and that's crucial to our success as a species. Think of agriculture, the idea of taking some of your seeds or whatever and burying it in the ground. Other animals don't do that, at least not planfully and knowingly, whereas we do, and it's enabled the great increase in human population. So many more people have been able to live on this earth because of farming, but it requires a long-term time perspective. So it requires the ability to make decisions in this more free will kind of way.
So let's look at free will and decision making. And what you're telling me is that to make the better kinds of decision making, we need free will. But we're not saying that all decision making is free will. There could be some decision making generated by unconscious reasoning. We just do it and we don't even know why we do it.
Yes.
So free will then is a subset of a mechanism of decision making, and generally it's a better one.
Yes.
How about the other direction? Does it work the other way? Does it work where decision making is one aspect of free will, but free will is a larger subset, that there are other things within free will besides decision making?
Well, yes, free will certainly includes self-control as well as decision-making. Now, the way I'm thinking about free will comes from my research on self-control as a limited energy source that waxes and wanes across the day. So we found it operates on self-control, it operates on rational decision-making, operates on initiative, and perhaps planning and carrying out plans.
So those are four. They sound similar, but they're really different kinds of mental states.
Yes, they're at least distinct psychological processes, ways of controlling your behavior, but they're all interrelated because doing one will use up your energy and make you less able to do another. When your willpower is down, people tend to make decisions in a much more superficial, snap manner. They'll go for the easy choice. They will do what is safe. They won't think things through as well. There's a study published not that long ago looking at parole decisions by judges in Israel. And for the parole judge, the easy decision is just send him back to the slammer. If you send somebody out into society and he commits another crime, it reflects badly on you, and too many of those, you lose your job. So the easy thing to do is that. But many of these guys, these prisoners really have reformed, and so it is desirable to take a chance on them. What the researchers showed is that the judges start the morning full of energy, and they're inclined to give parole pretty well, but then the rate of giving parole goes down until about 10:30, when they get a snack and they get some food, and that restores the body's energy, puts more glucose back into their bloodstream, and then the rate of giving parole goes up again, goes down again until lunchtime, goes way up after lunch. So if you're the last one before lunch, if I recall correctly, you had about a 15% chance of getting parole. If you were the first one after lunch, it was 70%.
Wow.
Huge increase, and it's just luck of the draw whether you come up before. Should we take one more before lunch or now? If that's your case, say no, I'll come back after lunch, because they have a lot more energy, and these are.
But that seems to argue against free will. That seems to argue for bodily processes that are just going on subconsciously that those judges obviously didn't know, and so that's not really free will.
Well, so it's not that eating a sandwich was enough to change, to force them, compel them to do something else, but rather it gave them the energy to use for a more free kind of decision where they could consider the alternatives and make what was the best choice. So I think of free will as a especially difficult and effortful kind of decision making, but one that enables people to respond in other ways beyond their mere impulse and immediate situation. It enables us to do the things that make us more distinctively human, thinking about the future, thinking about moral values, thinking about symbolic meanings, and integrating these into our decisions.